be provided. For purposes of this section, I'd like to know if nagawa na po ba ng CHED ang guidelines na ito para sa mga solo parents natin, considering this law has been passed 2 years ago at yung IRR po niya ay naipasa na rin po 2 years ago din po. Gusto ko pong malaman kung ito po ba ay pinapatupad na po ng CHED.
Students who are solo parents, children of solo parents. But for the other proposals of the Honorable BH Bernadette Herrera, we look forward to the proposed wordings that if you can probably submit to the Committee on Appropriation.
Ito na nga, Bernadette Herrera at Janet Garre nagkasagutan. Proyektong matagal nang napondohan, di pa na isa katuparan. Pero bago ang lahat, maaari kayong mag-subscribe para maging updated sa mga issue at bagong mga balita. Naging mainit nga ang sagutan sa pagitan ni Janet Garre at Bernadette Herrera matapos questionin ni Congressman Herrera ang mga ipinasang proyekto na may bilyong-bilyong pondo kung naisa katuparan na nga ba ito. Narito ang buong detalye.
Very much, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor. Just a very quick manifestation. Number one, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, or Madam Sponsor, meron po kasing Genomics PH project which will sequence the genome of 25,000 Filipinos. This study will determine the genetic makeup of Filipinos to determine diversity and patterns of genes. By knowing genetic susceptibilities to disease, we can plan for disease prevention and management. The purpose is for a more personalized and precision medicine, more accurate treatments of cancer. Sometimes the more expensive medicines do not work for Filipinos. So with this genetic makeup, kailangan ng 325 million. They proposed this to the DBM, but it wasn't approved. But I believe it's high time with the advent of lahat ng disease pumapasok sa ating Pilipinas. Ngayon, meron pang monkeypox and all that. I really humbly manifest that I hope the body during the small committee ay mailagay po natin yung 325 million na kailangan para dito sa Genomics PH project. Number two, alam naman po natin na ang UPPGH ay nagkikater sa 750,000 patients year in and year out at laging kulang na kulang yung medical assistance for indigent patients nila doon. Hindi po napagbigyan yung additional na 500 million. So I'd like to put it on record na sana po, isa po ito sa mabigyan ng priority natin dito sa Kongreso. And ito inaawitan sa akin dahil sa UP to. Kulang ng 3.5 billion daw to complete infrastructure. Nananawagan na lang ako, pwede madagdagan yung 200 million kasi yun lang yung naibigay natin. But of course, meron naman tayong mga fellow members of Congress who can actually also put in the system, just like this representation. So, Madam Chair, for SUC, for the UP, yun po ang aming manifestation na sana, especially the Genomics Project, and at the same time, the UPPGH, I hope this is something that we can consider in the body. Mr. Speaker, Madam Sponsor.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, we laud the advocacy of the Honorable Herrera. Genomics is something that is really very close to all our hearts because we cannot change our genes, but we can actually prevent the complications of bad genetic composition. 325 million pesos, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, is something that the Bicameral Conference Committee, as long as the Senate allows it, we are very sure that when we talk about health, the leadership of the House puts that foremost in the priorities. On the MAIFI program, I believe there will be an increase on this, and it's not the mere allocation of UPPGH, because allocation lodged before many offices are also reallocated back to the UPPGH. On the infrastructure component, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, while we do want it to be implicated, there is a limit to how the government can prioritize infrastructure projects. Be that as it may, precise for us to say that the UPPGH is actually a recipient of 2 legacy projects, including their 2 buildings that will cater to adult and specialty outpatient department and children's hospitals.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and Madam Sponsor, for your support in this. And then last, Mr. Speaker, with regards to CHED, Madam Sponsor, para naman po sa CHED, Pinapaalala ko po at gusto ko malaman at makuha ang firm commitment ng CHED when it comes to the Section 9 ng Solo Parent Welfare Act, RA 118611. It reads as follows, Section 9, Educational Benefits. The TEPED, CHED, and TEFDA shall provide scholarship programs for solo parents and a full school scholarship for one child of a solo parent in institutions of basic, higher, and technical vocational and skills education, provided that the said solo parent or child of a solo parent has all the qualifications set for the scholarship program of the DepEd, CHED, or TESDA. Provided further that the other children, if any, of a solo parent shall be given priority in the education programs under Republic Act number 10687, otherwise known as the UNIFAST, Republic Act number 10931, otherwise known as the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, and other laws relating to education programs and government. Non-formal education programs appropriate for solo parents and their children may likewise be provided. For purposes of this section, I'd like to know if nagawa na po ba ng CHED ang guidelines na ito para sa mga solo parents natin, considering this law has been passed 2 years ago at yung IRR po niya ay naipasa na rin po 2 years ago din po. Gusto ko pong malaman kung ito po ba ay pinapatupad na po ng CHED.
The response of the officials of the Commission on Higher Education, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, is that the children of solo parents have been included in the prioritization of scholarships under CHED. However, in the selection of UWACTE and TEST grantees, UNIFAST shall, pursuant to Republic Act 8972, prioritize students who are solo parents, children of solo parents. But for the other proposals of the Honorable BH, Bernadette Herrera, we look forward to the proposed wordings that if you can probably submit to the Committee on Appropriations with regards to the possible special provision that will be inserted into the GAA of 2025.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, Madam Sponsor. To put on record, this is pursuant to RA 11861. So, it's just a matter of putting it inside kasi batas naman na to that has to be followed.
Duly noted, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague.
But we will introduce the special provision, Madam Sponsor.
Very much welcome, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, Madam Sponsor.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Representative Raul Daniel Manuel of Kabataan Party List in his interpellation.
The gentleman from the party list Kabataan, the Honorable Raul Manuel, is recognized to interpellate the sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the budget sponsor for SUCs yield to some questions?
We welcome, Mr. Speaker, the questions and interpellation of my very good kababayan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sa SUCs, Mr. Speaker, may we know ano po ang nilalaman ng 2024 GAA Special Provision patungkol sa infrastructure para sa SUCs?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, under the special provision, lahat po ng projects na 5 million pataas ay ilalagay po sa DPWH.
And for SUCs, Mr. Speaker, gaano po karaming mga proyekto ang worth 5 million pataas? Ito po ba kalakhan?
Total,
konti lang?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, ang total po ay 5.4 billion.
Does this comprise
173 projects amounting to a total of 5.4 billion.
Ilan po iyon, Mr.
Under
Speaker?
to special provision number 5.
How many projects po? Let me
173 projects total, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
And for projects na hindi po lagpas sa 5 million, Mr. Speaker, ilan po iyon?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, 14 po.
So ibig sabihin, Mr. Speaker, 173 na ang mag-implement ay DPWH kahit na po ang budget ay under po yan sa ating SUCs, while merong 14 na hindi na-expect na DPWH yung mag-implement dahil dun sa amount. Mr. Speaker, ganito na rin po ba ang sistema bago ang fiscal year 2024?
Hindi po, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
So, ibig sabihin, Mr. Speaker, this would be the first time na may ganitong nilalamang special provision ang budget for SUCs?
Tama po, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, para po maging mabilis ang implementasyon ng mga infrastructure projects.
By experience, Mr. Speaker, ano po ang nangyari dun sa 173 infrastructure projects? Ilan po ang nasimulan at kung meron man pong natapos agad, ilan po iyon?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, 4 pa lang po ang nasimulan na projects.
So, ibig sabihin, Mr. Speaker, ang intent ng special provision ay hindi nangyari, simply put. Mr. Speaker, ito po ba ay nandyan na noong ang meron pa lang tayo ay ang National Expenditure Program 2024?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, wala pa po.
So, ibig sabihin, Mr. Speaker, saan pong stage ng budget process na ilagay ang ganitong special provision?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, sa BICAM na level po.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, hearing that, while of course dito sa atin sa Kamara, ang gusto naman natin ay natataasan natin ang budget ng ating SUCs and every year naman nagsisikap talaga tayo na mangyari yan. Pero for this fiscal year, Mr. Speaker, kahit pala na nagtulungan naman tayo dito sa Kamara para taasan ang SUCs budget, pero may ganito palang naging mayor na bara para sana ay ma-implement ang ganitong mga proyekto, Mr. Speaker. Na dati naman, ang mga SUCs natin, sila na yung inaasahan para mag-implement ng mga ito. Pero nung na-centralize po ito lahat sa DPWH, at alam natin, Mr. Speaker, ay may iba pang mga proyekto na dapat atupagin ng DPWH din. Sa Iloilo nga po, yung flyover doon ay lumulubog yung ka-flyover, hindi nga maharap ng DPWH ng maayos. Baka naman pag inasa natin to lahat, baka pati mga building sa SUCs, Mr. Speaker, lulubog. Kaya po, nais talaga nating matiyak na matrack natin all the way para hindi po sana umabot sa point na meron ulit masisingit ng ganitong provision para sa ating SUC's budget. And yeah, on that topic, Mr. Speaker, yun yung ating strong assertion talaga. And sana po hindi lang kami sa minority, pero tayo po lahat dito sa Kongreso talaga ay mapakinggan natin yung ganong hinaing ng ating mga state universities and colleges. Second point, Mr. Speaker, ito ay address ko pala sa CHED. So, it's regarding CHED Memorandum Order 20, Series of 2011. Ito po ay noong nagbabayad po ang mga estudyante ng tuition and other school fees, Kalakhan po ay nagbabayad pa before, meron po itong nire-recommend na allocation ng kung saan mapupunta ang tuition collection ng ating mga universities. Mr. Speaker, may we clarify kung ngayon nakalakhan ng estudyante ay hindi nagbabayad, binding pa rin po ba ang CHED Memorandum Order 20 Series of 2011?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, as far as CHED is concerned, it's not binding anymore. It depends on the board of the specific university whether they will implement that or not.
Okay. So, ngayon, Mr. Speaker, kasi kung ganun ang nangyayari na, di ba, galing na sa national government, yung supposed na collection from students at dati po kasi ang inasahan ng mga students natin, halimbawa meron pong Student Development Fund na kung sa Section 7 po ay minimum 7.5% or maximum ay 12.5% yung ma-allot for student activities. So, to clarify lang po para lang din alam ng ating mga student governments kasi syempre nais natin din na yung ating mga student activities ay meron ding funding. So, para lang po for the record, so hindi po ito binding na sa ngayon.
Pero ito. So basically, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the national government reimburses the tuition and miscellaneous fees of the student, and the disposition by which these funds will be allocated or disposed of lies on the board of each SUC.
Okay, as yun lang muna, Mr. Speaker, on that topic, then my remaining questions will be directed, again po, sa SUCs naman natin. So, Mr. Speaker, on hybrid learning, kasi nga, pinopromote natin yung paggamit ng teknolohiya, ganyan, pero ayaw din naman natin, Mr. Speaker, na masyado natin itong naroromanticize to the point na kapag kulang tayo ng mga classrooms, kulang tayo ng mga lab spaces, kulang tayo ng facilities, ay magiging unfortunate po na fallback natin or option ay yung online classes. Kasi po, syempre, may impact ito dun sa quality of education, both sa bahagi ng mga estudyante, tsaka paano din na-assess ng teachers yung pagkatuto ng mga estudyante. So, Mr. Speaker, may we know, in general po sa ating mga SUCs, ano pa ba ang current na ratio ng students to classrooms? Kasi kung sa basic education, medyo familiar na tayo, alam na natin yung classroom backlog, pero on the part of SUCs po ba?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, apat na po or 40 po na students, more or less, ang ratio per classroom.
Okay. And Mr. Speaker, kung sa yun sa physical classes, kung sa pagtiyak naman po natin na makakapag-connect yung ating mga estudyante, they have access to Wi-Fi, bale gusto po nating ma-check din, Mr. Speaker, sa mga campuses natin sa SUCs, ilan po ba doon ang merong masasabi nating reliable na Wi-Fi connection kapag nasa loob ng campus yung mga estudyante natin?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, roughly lahat po ng SUCs natin at LUCs ay meron na pong internet connection sa ngayon.
Mr. Speaker, ilan po ang campuses sa mga SUCs natin? Kasi kung in terms lang of number of SUCs, it's more than 100. Pero kung sa bilang po ng mga campuses, ilan po ang SUCs?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, 497 campuses po lahat.
And Mr. Speaker, kasi this includes main campuses, tsaka actually mas marami pa mga satellite campuses. And ang expectation natin, Mr. Speaker, ay lahat, no? Pero may mga instances po kasi na mas main campuses talaga yung naambunan ng mga resources. Kaya gusto din natin syempre talaga ay mapondohan ng tama po yung ating SUCs para lahat po, main man or satellite, ay okay po ang kondisyon. So, kung sa satellite campuses po ba ay kumusta ang state ng Wi-Fi sa ating mga SUCs?
Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, actually, stand corrected, no? There are 113 main campuses and 497 satellite campuses. And right now, ang ating mga SUCs and LUCs, they are supported by DICT because DICT has been providing, nagbibigay po ng mga tinatawag natin ng mga internet cabling devices, especially doon sa mga mahihina ang signal. So, pinaprioritize po ng SUC natin yung mga campuses na medyo problema po ang signal nila. Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Speaker, para lang malinaw, kasi gusto lang natin talagang makita yung pangangailangan pa ng ating mga SUCs. Kasi nga, nakita natin merong iba-ibang standards pa doon sa pagpupondo. Itong kailangan naman talagang pondohan ang education, state universities ay actually parang tinitipid po natin kahit na napaka-visible naman at long-term ang impact ng investments natin sa education. Pero halimbawa, Mr. Speaker, kapag secret funds, confidential funds, napakadali lang na ibigay pero hindi nga malinaw saan talaga yon ginagastos. So ito, Mr. Speaker, the hearing from our sponsor, meron pa rin talagang mga satellite campuses na mahihina yung wifi, di ba po? Kaya kapag ganun, Mr. Speaker, kapag usapin ng online class, hindi pa rin talaga natin siya ma-expect na maging reliable. No? Kahit na nga halimbawa kapag may bagyo, magka-cancel tayo ng classes, pero dahil may ganong option, mag-online, pero still, hindi pa rin lahat talaga ay matututo ng maayos sa ganong setup. So I'm putting this on the record to underscore yung need, Mr. Speaker, na mag-assert talaga tayo, di ba, ng sufficient budget for our SUCs. So as mentioned, meron pong 11% na pagbaba doon sa proposed budget kung i-compare doon sa for this year, in 2024. Itong 11% na budget decrease, equivalent po siya in exact figures, Mr. Speaker, ilang billion po ito?
It's about 14.4 billion, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Speaker. And I believe such a figure, yung budget decrease from this year to next year, based on the proposal, is actually consistent din sa compiled na data na pinresent po ng Philippine Association of SUCs or PASOK sa budget briefing po kahapon, yung pre-plenary budget briefing. And Mr. Speaker, with that, since I think naging clear naman, no? And of course, I'm sure yung ating mga fellow members din sa minority ay meron ding mga obserbasyon na nagha-highlight ng dapat na augmentation sa budget ng ating mga SUCs. So to wrap up, Mr. Speaker, at syempre para din hindi na rin po tumagal pa dito yung ating mga bisita, makauwi din at makapagpahinga, Mr. Speaker. Ang call na lang natin talaga, Mr. Speaker, dapat i-realign po ang mga hindi naman justifiable na mga items sa 2025 National Expenditure Program. Kasama dyan ang bloated na defense budget, confidential and intelligence funds, pati po ang sa NTF-ELCAC, yung mga big ticket infra projects. I-realign na po natin yan, Mr. Speaker, at ilaan sa ating SUCs at sa education sector. Yun lang po, Mr. Speaker. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.